Okay, so always same people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen, other pairs will be analyzing today, but make sure you do stay to the end of the video because I do have a bonus pair in store at the end. But yeah, no trades for me to report on this week, but next week is looking very interesting after the momentum we had towards the end of this week. So first things first, we'll start with DXY, and then we'll take a look at the dollar. At Euro USD, I mean. But yeah, in terms of DXY, in terms of USD, we did see a lot of weakness this week, which is what we were expecting, but I was hoping for a bigger pullback this week, which is why I missed out on a few opportunities on Euro USD and Aussie dollar as well. My analysis for the DXY going into this week was looking for a pullback and then a continuation. And we did see that pretty much, just not as big as I was looking for. I think we started the week around here, so we did see some upside and then some follow through. I was hoping for a retest of this structure, which did align with some pullbacks in Euro USD and Aussie dollar, which we'll touch on in a moment's time. So the pullback was just not enough for me to get into some trades this week, but we had some news CPI, which really got things cooking, and dollar's looking very weak now. So I'm looking for more downside. I'm still very bearish on the dollar. I think we can still see more downsides to come. We are testing major support here, so this does need to break for that floodgate to open, but I do think it will. The fact that we saw some upside in price only created a lower high. We didn't even come close to at least testing that high or making it higher high. So it does look like the market's slowly getting ready to reverse. But the key thing I want to see next week is the break of this area, and then we can probably expect to see a lot more downside in the coming days, coming weeks as well. So I do think it'll break, hasn't broken yet, but I do think we'll see some follow through. So my bias going into next week is still dollar bearish, but I will be keeping an eye on that level to see what we do next week, because of course I could be wrong. We could reject that level. But in terms of Euro USD, I'm looking at buys again for next week. This one as well coming into a key level resistance, which again I do expect it to break. It's kind of a similar level to the DXY. I do think that level will break. I do think this level will break, and we'll see more upside. We do have this long-term standing bearish trend line channel, which looks like price is starting to break through that. So we've had this corrective move, which potentially could be exploding to the upside, like pound USD is, which we'll get into shortly. So what I'm looking at for next week for Euro is a pullback to retest this brief consolidation, brief pullback, and looking for more upside. And this is the trade idea I'm looking for. What I was looking for this week was a similar idea, but just retesting the structure down here. But of course, didn't see enough of a pullback, which kept me out of the market. But hopefully this week, and I think we will, because market is a little bit stretched, we'll come into a big level of resistance. So I do think we will react, and if we do, probably will see some retracement back down, find some nice buys, take it back to the high. Maybe if you want to be a bit more aggressive, you can look for higher targets. I think keep things simple. If we do retrace from here and see some downside, that of course will be a nice target to aim for. So that is the idea I've got going for Euro USD next week. Looking for buys, looking for more dollar weakness. Keep an eye on the retest of this area, 1.08445. We haven't come back for a retest since the CPI breakout, so hopefully we can get it sometime next week. Find some nice entries in that area and a continuation back to the high. So that will be the plan next week for Euro USD. Okay, so on to USD JPY. So this one, big push to the downside across the board for the JPY pairs. Again, I was looking for more upside next week, looking for a move back to the high, which we just missed out on. This was the high I was expecting price to hit this week. Didn't quite make that, but yeah, we did have a big sell-off there as well. Nonetheless, I think this opens up the door for some more opportunities, more longer-term swings, which arguably kind of what I've been waiting for dollar yen, because the pullbacks haven't been that big since the last big one here. In June, you've just been slowly pushing and grinding higher. So unless you're on the lower time frames like 30 or 15, it'll be difficult to get some meaningful pullbacks for some nice swing trades, which I think that now, as we've got that move, it opens up the door to some nice swings. So still bullish on the yen pairs. I know this is a really aggressive move, but for me, it hasn't changed anything in terms of market structure. Still seeing higher highs and higher lows. And in fact, we've come into a really nice area of confluence here at 157,500. Price swing high over there will be turned support. And of course, we've got this trend line here as well, 1, 2, 3. So as long as we can show some rejection here, I will be looking for buys next week. So far, we are throwing wicks into that area. We haven't seen a breakout. Of course, I don't know what next week has in store. Maybe we just see price break through this really easily. Then I'll readjust and see what's going on from there. But for now, we're still holding to that area. So I expect that to continue. Maybe some more wicks on Monday. see how things sets up, and then I will be looking for some entries to take this to the upside from that 157,500 targets. As aggressive as you want it to be, if you're looking for the swing trade back to the high, that makes sense. There's still a lot of momentum to the upside in the higher time frames. Even a push back to the high here makes a lot of sense as well. So it depends on the risk reward and how aggressive you want to be with your trade. In terms of a nice area of confluence, in terms of still trading that trend, it's still very much alive in my opinion. So I will be only looking for buys next week unless something crazy happens. And we're resting at a really nice area of confluence. So eyes will be peeled on this level, looking for more wicks, then looking for an entry on the hourly. And yeah, we'll look to see how far I can take it. But that is the plan next week for Euro, no, not for Euro USD. That's the plan next week for USD JPY. Okay, so over to USD CAD. So USD CAD and the dollar pair, still looking for dollar weakness next week. So for this one, I am looking for a big breakout of the support level here at 1.36. Again, as I've been saying for a long while, USD CAD has been in this range. Not interested to trade inside that range, waiting for price to break out. We've broken through that long-term standing trend line on the daily chart. So that for me has kind of invalidated the buys. If you were going to push bullish, I would expect price to keep holding that trend line. Now that we've broken through that, kind of looking for the opposite. I'm looking for a big move down. However, I'm not going to be looking to short straight away until we see the break of this support level, and then I'll be looking for opportunities on the retest. Right now, we're actually holding pretty well, to be fair. We had some big rejections there, I think after on Thursday, some big rejections there to the downside. So price did hold that level of support pretty well. But yeah, I'm not really looking for opportunities to take USD CAD higher. If we can break to the downside next week, fantastic. Then I'll be looking for my pullbacks and some shorts on a retest of that level. And my entry will look something like this around that area. Of course, it will depend how price action sets up and how big my stop loss will be, depending on candlesticks. But generally speaking, it will look something like this on a retest of 1.36, and it does depend on how we break out as well. But as I've been saying for a while, I'm not looking to trade inside that range. Hopefully we can see a breakout next week. Hopefully we can see a break of the DXY support, and that probably will be the catalyst to get USD CAD and get the ball rolling with this one. But only looking for shorts. Hopefully we can get a break of the support at 1.36 next week. Look for a retest for some entries and looking for some continuation. And again, I've been discussing this area here as a nice target. This is where we did see a lot of momentum. I haven't revisited that area since that big move. So this could be a really nice target around the 1.35 mark as well. So that will be the plan next week for USD CAD. Okay, so over to Euro Pound. So it looks like momentum is coming back into the market, and it actually is starting to look a bit attractive to trade. I don't really like Euro Pound too much, but it does have some nice opportunities when it does start trending. And it looks like we're coming into that phase now because we're seeing some really nice momentum, but a really nice rejection of 0.85. And we're just broken through the lows there just before the weekly candle has closed. You can see the weekly chart looking pretty bearish as well. So looking for that to maintain. We do have a long-term bearish trend here in the market, which hasn't been so trending so well, but it looks like it's really picking up some momentum after the big break of that support. So looking for that to continue. We've left behind some nice support here on the 4 hour, and essentially all we're looking to do is catch that next swing high. If I highlight the previous ones, we've got one over there, second over there, third one over there, fourth over here. Looking for that pattern to repeat. This is a nice area for a retest. It does depend where we kind of pull back from, but I've got my Fibonacci out. If we do pull back from here, we're looking at the 0.5%. If we do fall a little bit further, then still looking at 0.5, maybe the 0.618. Does depend how far we fall, but that is a healthy area for a healthy pullback, especially when we're seeing all of this momentum here this week. So this is what I'm looking at for Euro Pound, looking at a lot more downside. High time frames are on our side here of the shorts, and it's a really nice level which we broke through, never really saw a real retest of as well. So I like that that level for a sell going into next week. And in terms of targets, let's say if we pull back from here, that would be the swing low, the new swing low. So then that would be the next logical target to have. So it really does depend where we pull back from, but the idea will be looking to short it back to the swing low and potentially beyond if you want to trail stops as well, because we do have a really nice trend here with some healthy bearish momentum. But that is the idea next week for Euro Pound. 0.844 is the level of interest, looking for some pullbacks and a push back to the swing low. Okay, so over to Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar very bullish on. Again, this is a pair which I was looking to buy this week. Didn't quite fit the plan. We had a really nice rally to the upside at the end of last week. So I was looking for the retest of this area to buy. Oil price did this week was move sideways. Then we had CPI, which gave us a big push up higher. So no real opportunity for me. However, there's still some nice areas I'm looking at. Still the same area from last week, around 0.67. If we come and test that area this week, fantastic. We'll be looking for the same thing. And also I like this range here now because we did break out for a lot of momentum after CPI. We did kind of take a few days here. So it's a really nice healthy range. And I do like my retest of ranges, especially when we get good breakouts like this one. So if you do come back into this 0.675 area, again, I'll be equally as interested for a buy. For me, Aussie dollar's got a long way to go back to the high all the way up here on the daily chart, which is just around 0.684, 685. So there's still some distance to go. Really healthy breakout outside of this range from last week as well. So for me, the momentum looks like it's here to stay, and we've got a really healthy breakout here. So I'm just looking for pullbacks, looking to try and find that next higher low and take a ride back to that high there. That will be the plan, of course. Up to you how far you want to take your positions. Even a push back to the swing high makes a lot of sense. 1-to-1s, 1-to-2s, 1-to-3s, depending on the entry. So that makes a lot of sense as well. I'll be trading stop loss, so I'll see how far I can take the position. But the idea is looking for a big swing back to the high there eventually at 0.684. So that will be the plan next week for Aussie dollar. Okay, so over to NZD CAD. So we had the interest rates announcement for the NZD this week, which caused a lot of weakness for NZD. Big move to the downside here. Things were looking very bearish. I did say I was looking for shorts for this one, but just missed out on the level. I think we actually closed for last week around here. So I said if we can see a bit more upside, tag this support level, that'd be a really nice place for a short. Unfortunately, just missed it by 3 or 4 pips there. So really unfortunate not to get that entry there. But yeah, really nice follow through to the downside. Again, the plan is still the same as last week and as the week before for NZD CAD. Looking at the higher time frames, we've got some really nice bullish structure here. We've got the high low here. Make sure you can see that high low there. We've got a nice high low here as well. And we're looking for the next one for another push higher. And this has been a really corrective move down. So it does look like it is just the pullback of this big bullish move, and we'll eventually see a high low form and a push to the upside. So the plan is to look for some short-term sell opportunities for some longer-term buys. The area I want to look for that longer-term buy is still at this area here at 0.824500. So this is where I'm looking for that buy. So I'm still looking to sell it towards that area, at least until we break structure. So if this is the higher low, we don't quite get there and price does push up, I want us to break this high, and then I'll be looking for my pullback to take it higher. But if we are going to sell off one more time back into the area, fantastic. I think the sales look good at this area. Brief consolidation, strong move to the downside, nice area supply. This to me looks like a decent area for a sell. Already showing some nice rejection there, so it could be a trade early Monday. And then some buys from that level. Depends how we get there, depends how we look. But generally speaking, from that 0.825 area is where I'm looking to go long. And there's a long way to go for this one. Again, I'll be trading stops, so I don't expect myself to get all the way up there, but I'll see how far we can take the trade. But this is the idea, this is the plan for NZD CAD. Looking for some sales around 0.83500, back down to 0.82500 for some buys. So that will be the plan next week for NZD CAD. Okay, so over to pound NZD. So pound NZD was very bullish this week, almost too bullish. I've been crying out for a bit of momentum for this one ever since we broke out of this descending channel, because I've been looking for a big break higher. We eventually did see that big breakout to the upside this week, but yeah, way too bullish because it didn't really give me an opportunity to pull back. I've been talking about pound NZD pushing back to the high here. We did see that happen this week, but just no real opportunity to get involved, unfortunately. However, I'm not too upset because I still do have another target which I'm expecting pound NZD to get to longer term, which is a push back to the high here at 2.15. So this was always the intermediate target before the big one, because I'm still looking at this as a big longer term trend in the higher time frames, which we have been pretty consistent on with these higher lows here. So I'm looking for this to continue eventually back to the high there. But now that we've hit that first major target, I do think it's time for us to have a breather and hopefully find some areas where we can look to buy from. This area still looks like a nice buy and pretty much the only area which I would buy from at the moment with pound NZD. It depends. If we're very bullish when we break through this level as well, then I will consider some buys in the retest. So I would say keep an eye out of that, but I'm not too sure we will do that. But yeah, never gonna try and judge the market. Always be ready to react, because sometimes the unexpected does happen. So if that does happen, I will take a look at 2.12, 2.15 on the retest of that area for some buys. But most likely we'll probably see some rejection and probably come back down. And if we do, fantastic. I'll be looking at some buys from 2.09600 down here. But again, the idea is only interested in the buys, just looking for smart areas to execute those positions. This level being one of them, and this being the second one. But long term, still looking at 2.15 as the next major target. So that's the plan next week for pound NZD. Okay, so next up we got CAD Yen. So CAD Yen's looking really good. I like this one. I was saying dollar yen was my favorite yen pair to trade for next week, but I think CAD Yen is equally my favorite as well, because of the area of confidence we're coming to. Is very, very similar to dollar yen. Dollar yen's kind of testing the trend line already, so the confidence is kind of ready at play. But it's a similar opportunity, and if you do see another wick to the downside, maybe spikes into the trend line as well, that would be fantastic. But I'm looking for a similar setup for both of them. They're both yen pairs, of course. Both had similar drops, and again, both of them on the higher time frames are still very, very bullish as well. So the idea is still looking for more upside. You can look at the trend here on the daily chart, still very comfortably to the upside. I think we have even a longer term standing trend line at play as well. So as long as we keep putting those higher lows, keep respecting structure, I'm going to keep looking to buy these yen pairs, or at least look for opportunities to buy them. If we do start breaking through and we see a massive break like that, of course that does change things. Might not necessarily mean a big reversal at play, but I probably will be looking at some sells, at least from the shorter term perspective, and looking for some opportunities to the downside rather than be looking to buy. But at the moment, we're still coming to structure. Let's see if we can respect it on Monday, because we're in that area at the moment. So let's see if we can spike into that trend line as well. See some rejection, then I'll be looking for buys. Again, a push to this area looks logical. If you want to look for a bigger move, we've got areas up here, we've got the swing high. So just depends what you're looking at, how you want to manage your trade. But we're definitely coming into a really nice area of confluence here at 115,500, and it does give us some really nice opportunities to get into some buys here. So yeah, really like CAD Yen, really like dollar yen as well. Keep an eye on those areas of confluence. Early next week could see some nice rejection for some buys, and yeah, looking to swing it back to the high there with a trading stop. Okay, so over to pound USD. So pound USD, I'm really liking this one for next week and probably for the week after that as well, because there's so much bullish momentum, and we've been trading in a range for a very long time for pound, since the year has started really, and our price has broken through that very, very firmly with a lot of momentum as well. So for me, this is looking like the actual breakout, because we did have a pretty decent breakout over here as well, let's not forget, which turned out to be a pretty big fake out. The market came straight back inside the range, which technically could happen here as well, but because we had such a big fake out to the downside, I'm now expecting the follow through, because normally when we do fake out one way, it's for price to go the other. So for me, we've had a big fake out to the downside, even a mini one there to the upside as well. I think this is now the real move, and with this momentum, it's definitely believable. So the plan for me next week and for the week after that is to keep buying at least until we get back to the high here. This is the last major swing point at 1.313, and that's now the next major target I'm expecting pound dollar to head towards. Also, if you do see DXY break that support, which I mentioned at the start of the video, I think that'll be a really big catalyst to get pound USD moving further as well, because I think pound at the moment is quite naturally strong as well. So yeah, just looking at pullbacks, I really like this area here. I think if the market is just very, very bullish next week, we might only just retest this area here rather than get the bigger pullback to 1.285. So I would say keep an eye on this area. A brief moment where the market did stall, consolidated a little bit, and then we saw some follow through. So we could see price retest here at 1.294. If we do come deeper, fantastic. 1.295 285 looks good as well. Just depends what the market's going to give us. But again, we need to react, not trying to predict things. For me, the market's bullish, a lot of momentum at the moment. So just looking to trade that momentum, jump on that wave. And as things stand, it looks like we've got a lot more of that wave to experience. So looking for some opportunities on some pullbacks. Keep an eye on these two zones here for pounds. But yeah, only looking for buys next week. Okay, so on to pound CAD. So pound CAD, similar move to pound USD. Very big move to the upside. Pound was very strong this week. CAD was quite weak as well. And as we can see, that's a recipe for bullishness. With pound CAD, we have kind of really got going. This trend looks like it's picked up momentum. I'm looking at targets. There's a major high up here. In fact, if I go to the weekly chart, probably see a little bit better. There's a major high, major level resistance up here, which looks like price is gunning for. And actually not too far away. You can see that there is where current price is at the moment. So it looks like we're coming back into major resistance. So I'm not too sure how much further this trend has got in it. We could break the level as well. That's definitely a possibility, but this is definitely a long-term standing level, and it's a pretty big level, which we see massive rejections from all the way back. Even if I extend that across there, that is being a fake out. That's another rejection all the way back to 2017. So this is a big level. So we could break through, of course, but I do expect to see at least some type of reaction when we get there. But for now, just looking at buys to that area around 1.775, 78. That's where I'm looking for price to go. So looking for pullbacks to retest some structure, and hopefully we can ride that momentum to that area. Looks like both pound CAD and pound USD still do have some higher time frame targets to go and hit. So if they both can pull back early next week, that'd be fantastic. Then maybe midweek, pick up some buys and ride to the upside for the remainder of the week. That's kind of what I'm envisioning. But of course, we'll stay flexible because things can change. But for now, that is definitely the plan going into next week for pound CAD. So keep an eye on 1.76 and 1.75 for some bullish entries. Okay, so over to pound yen. So pound yen, I don't like this one as much as dollar, yen, and CAD yen, which we briefly discussed early in the video. For one main reason, this one lacks a big level of support. With CAD yen, we've got a previous high. We're coming into dollar yen, same thing. For pound yen, for us to be in that situation, we need to pull back all the way here, which is quite far away. At the moment, though, we are testing a really strong trend line, as we can see here for pound yen. A nice few tests previously. The market has been extremely bullish in this trend, so I do expect it to hold, but it just lacks that level of confluence, which I do need in my trading for, you know, all my boxes to be ticked. So I'll be focusing my efforts on CAD yen and dollar yen, but truthfully speaking, the yen pairs have a mind of their own this year. So if you're buying pound yen, you're buying CAD yen, you're buying dollar yen, there's no real big difference. Maybe the entries will differ, maybe the speed at which they move will differ, but really it's the same trade. Really, we're looking for yen weakness. That is still very much the plan A. So looking to see what we can do here, because we are firing some wicks into this trend line. Let's see if we can keep that up going into next week. I'm looking at the hourly chart as well. I do like the wicks. What would be nice on Monday if we can spike to the downside again, pull back up, give a nice bullish engulfing. That could then end up being a nice entry, stop loss underneath the wicks, and hopefully if this is going to be the next higher low, you can ride it back to where we came from, back at the high there. But yeah, to me, looking in the daily chart, yeah, this looks like just a healthy retracement, which is needed because we had so many consecutive bullish candles there, which you don't really see quite often in FX in general. So the pullback is needed 100%, and yeah, we'll be expecting that pullback to end and the trend to continue. So that is very much the thought process. So keep an eye on this 204-600 area. Let's see if we can keep rejecting that into early next week, and look for some buys back to that swing high there at 208. So that's the plan going into next week for pound yen. Okay, so going into gold. So gold's still looking at buys. I'm looking at the higher time frames for gold. Everything is still looking pretty bullish. I do think we're coming back to the high here and probably going to see new highs. We're very close to that level of resistance there at 2440, 2430. So looking for entries to get involved. I do like silver a little bit more than gold because it's still got a long way to go as well. So I think the risk reward looks better. So personally, I'll probably focus my efforts on silver next week along with some other pairs. But gold still does look good. A retest of this area, we did respect it there on Friday as well. So another retest of the area could be a nice nice area to find an entry to take advantage of this bullish trend. And also, if you do come back a little bit deeper, I do like this area here as well, 2370. Potentially could see a bigger pullback, test that area and see some upside, but we're just looking for areas which make sense to look for buys here for gold. Not interested in sells whatsoever. Maybe if you come into that zone, you show some nice rejection, maybe there could be some shorter term sells, but I think there's a good chance we actually break through that level. So I wouldn't really want to be looking to sell that either. Just focusing on the buys. Same thing with silver as well, looking for a push back to the high. But dollar weakness is my bias. If you can see a break of that support, that will surely help gold and silver push up as well. So I think next week just keep a close eye on 2390 and also 2370 as smart areas for some longs, and targets back at the swing high 2430, 2450 going into next week. Okay, so on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, the buys still look good. Last time we spoke, I believe it was this candle here. Big wick to the downside, market pull back up. So we saw a nice piercing wick at this area. I said wait for some bullish momentum to creep back in. We have seen that. So for me, this is a great place for a buy. It's also come back into the bottom of this descending channel here, and it's showing some nice respect. So the play for me for Bitcoin is big impulse. Now we're seeing a correction of that impulse in this bull flag, and possibly now we're going to see a continuation. I have talked about some areas further down at 52k, this consolidation there, as an area which we could spike into. So be watchful of that area, 48k as well, that per hour high. So there are some areas below which could also be some nice areas for buys if this level here at 57, 58k fails. But at the moment, it looks like it's holding pretty well. So I would be expecting to see some upside very, very soon. I like the wicks to the downside, I like the way we've fallen over. It's quite corrective. Spiked through this low here as well. Probably liquidated some earlier buy positions. So there's a lot box ticked here for Bitcoin. And really it's just looking to see if that momentum to come back into the market. So keep an eye on 57k. I feel like entries in this area make a lot of sense. And looking for that next bullish wave to come back into the market, back to the higher end of that descending channel. But truthfully, looking for a break of the high and another bullish wave here. So that's the plan for Bitcoin. Keep an eye on that area. If you do come lower, still have a couple of levels there to buy from as well. But at the moment, we are doing well to reject that level. So expecting more upside next week for Bitcoin. Okay, so last but not least, we've got our bonus pair, which for this week is EuroCAD. So EuroCAD looking bullish, not as bullish as PoundCAD, which we briefly spoke about earlier on, but it's still looking very bullish. And the key thing for me this week is a massive break out of this resistance here for EuroCAD. As we can see, really left this level behind. I'm looking for EuroCAD to come back into this level here this week, and eventually this level here as well. I do think there's a lot more upside in store for EuroCAD. So just looking at pullbacks to take it higher, we do have some type of uptrend here. It's a bit of a stretch because it is pretty much consolidation really with EuroCAD, but you can see we have slowly been pushing up, and now the big break of this level here is a big sign to me that okay, we're most likely going to continue. So I would like to see a retest of this area and some more upside, and of course a push back into that next level of resistance. So what I'll be looking at for next week is a pullback. My plan A, preferred option, would be a bigger pullback to this area because it's also retesting that daily level which we just spoke about at 1.78. But if the market's a little bit too bullish, we may only see a retest of this consolidation here and the market might be on its way. So I would keep an eye out on that level there at 1.482 as well, but preferably would like a deeper pullback. But of course, beggars can't be choosers. the best skill set in trading is staying flexible and adaptive to what the market does give you. So I would definitely keep an eye on that area, but the next target is 1.49, 1.492, and then after that 1.502 up there as well. So that's the plan for EuroCAD. Keep an eye on some pullbacks, looking for more upside next week. So yeah guys, that does bring us to the end of the analysis. If you have found it useful, educational, informative, entertaining, please be sure to show some love, drop a like on the video, it does really help out, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure you have hit the bell so you don't miss out on any uploads or streams in the future, so you are notified. Check out the Discord channel, link to that in the description below, and also the Telegram channel, link in the description below to that, for updates, discussing trade ideas for myself and other like-minded traders as well. Make sure you go check it out. But guys, thank you so much for tuning into the video this week. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll catch you all next week.